Two questions for today. The first one is Cuthbert. ठीक है. Have a look. Now, we know that in APM reading the requirement part ऐसा directly makes no sense because requirement कभी यहाँ पे होता ही नहीं है. Requirement is always in the exhibits. Cuthbert is based in Sealand and manufactures jackets for use in very cold environments by mountaineers and skiers. It also supplies the armed forces in several countries with variants of existing products customized by the use of different colored fabrics, labels, and special fastenings for carrying equipment. Cuthbert incurs high cost on design and advertising in order to maintain the reputation of the brand. Each jacket is made up of different shaped pieces of fabric called components. These components are purchased by Cuthbert from an external supplier. The external supplier is responsible for ensuring the quality of components, and the number of purchased components found to be defective is negligible. The cost of components forms 80% of the direct cost. यहाँ पे they have described the production process that the components are purchased from an external supplier. He is responsible for ensuring the quality of the components, and the number of purchased components found to be defective is negligible. The cost of components forms 80% of the direct cost. ठीक है. And the prices charged by Cuthbert supplier for components are the lowest in the industry. There are three stages to the production process of each jacket, which are sewing, assembly, and finishing. Sewing fabric components are sewn together by a machinist. Any manufacturing defects occurring after sewing has begun cannot be rectified, and finished garments found to be defective are heavily discounted or, in the case of bespoke variants, destroyed. Tell me what is the meaning of the word bespoke variants? Bespoke मतलब customized. ठीक है. So when they say कि customized अगर कपड़ा है and if there is some defect then you can't really use it for anyone, तो फिर उसको फेंकना पड़ेगा अभी. ठीक है. The garments are filled with insulating material and sewn together for the final time, and labels, fastenings, and zips are sewn to the finished garments. Though the process for attaching each of these is similar, machinists prefer to work only on labels, fastenings, or zips to maximize the quantity which they can sew each hour. ठीक है. So these are the three steps. Okay. Jackets are produced in batches of a particular style in a range of sizes. Throughout production, the components required for each batch of jackets are accompanied by a paper batch card which records the production process which each batch has undergone. The batch cards are put into a production spreadsheet so that the stage of completion of each batch can be monitored and the position of each batch in the factory is recorded. There are 60 machinists working in the sewing department, 40 in each of the assembly and finishing departments. All the machinists are managed by 10 supervisors whose duties include updating the batch cards for work done and inputting this into a spreadsheet as well as checking the quality of work done by machinist. The supervisors report to the factory manager who has overall responsibility. तो यहाँ पे ना आपका प्रोडक्शन प्रोसेस का ही डिस्क्रिप्शन चल रहा है कि 3 स्टेप्स है, फिर कहाँ से कहाँ जाता है, हाउ मेनी machinists are working, each assembly line has how many units, then supervisors कितने हैं, so those details basically. Production process issue. Recently, a large emergency order of jackets for the Sealand Army was cancelled by the customer as it was not delivered on time due to the following quality problems and other issues in the production process. A supervisor had forgotten to input several batch cards, and as a result, batches of fabric components were lost in the inventory and replacements had to be purchased. There were machinists available to sew buttons onto the jackets, but there was only one machinist available who had been trained to sew zips. तो क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है? सुपरवाइजर had forgotten to input several batch cards. इसका क्या इशू था? आइडेंटिफाई द इशू. ये भूल गया. Forgotten to input several batch cards, and as a result batches of fabric components were lost. Batches of fabric components were lost. Replacements had to be purchased. ठीक है. He forgot something. So some components were lost and then you had to purchase new ones. So दो बार खर्चा हो गया. There were machinists available to sew buttons onto the jackets, but there was only one machinist available who had been trained to sew zips. This caused further delay to the production of the batch. When the quality of jackets was checked prior to dispatch, many of them were found to be sewn incorrectly as the work had been rushed. तो कुछ sewing में भी problem था. By the time the agreed delivery date had already passed and it was too late to produce a replacement batch. Then business process re-engineering. There was This was the latest in a series of problems in production at Cuthbert, and the directors have decided to use BPR in order to radically change the production process. ठीक है. The proposal being considered as an application of BPR is the adoption of team working in the factory, and it has three main elements, which is production lines would reorganize into teams where all operations on a particular product type are performed in one place by a dedicated team of machinists. So instead of having so पहले कैसा मे बी द वे दे वर डूइंग इट इज कि अलग अलग टाइप के जैकेट्स है, अलग अलग डिजाइन के जैकेट्स है, बट कटिंग वॉज हैपनिंग फॉर ऑल जैकेट्स इन वन प्लेस, stitching was happening in one place, sewing was happening in one place, and then after a particular point maybe they were getting split based on their individual processes. अभी क्या हो रहा है? अभी दे आर सेइंग कि इफ वी आर मेकिंग मिलिटरी जैकेट्स, सो एवरीथिंग फ्रॉम कटिंग टू फिनिशिंग विल बी इन वन प्लेस. If we are making jackets for fashion, some other fashion jackets, they will पूरा A to Z एक ही जगह पे होगा. ठीक है. Now, the proposal being considered as an application of BPR is the adoption of team working in the factory, the three main elements of which are as follows. Production lines would reorganize into teams where all operations are in one place. Each team of machinists would be responsible for the quality of the finished jacket, and for the first time, machinists would be encouraged to bring about improvements in the production process. There would no longer be the need to employ supervisors, and existing supervisors would join the team of machinists. So, the people who are actually working on the floor, they are encouraged to bring about improvements. And what is happening is that now supervisors will not be needed because the production process is changing, and you would have all of them in one place. Okay. The number of batches in production would be automatically tracked by the use of RFID. Just say when you go to say west side, every kapda that you purchase there, now there is a device attached to it. If you try to leave the store with the device still attached, so it starts beeping. So that way it helps them to track thefts and all in the first place. यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है? यहाँ पे what is happening is कि that RFID, which is basically like a detector, like a radio frequency wala detector, it helps to track the position of a particular jacket. This would eliminate the need for paper batch cards that which are currently input into a spreadsheet. So again, you are going electronic here. You have been asked as a performance management consultant to advise the board on whether business process reengineering could help Cuthbert overcome the problems in its production process. पूछा क्या है? एडवाइस किस चीज पे देना है? You have been asked to advise the board on whether BPR could help Cuthbert overcome the problems in production. So, whether BPR will solve the issues that the company is currently facing, or you will need some other approach to solve this problem. इतना पूछा है आपको. ठीक है. So whenever you start a question based on this, ठीक है, आपको सबसे पहले क्या करना है? You have to explain conceptually what is BPR. है ना? BPR is not incremental improvement. It includes a radical and fundamental redesign of the process, not incremental improvement. ठीक है. There is focus on customer needs, customer satisfaction, and it's a complete overhaul of the way business is happening, not just small changes here and there. ठीक है. अब in the what is the current structure? Currently, you have a functional structure, right? It is arranged function wise. Staff is attached to one production stage, and there is no एक person एक ही काम कर रहा है at one point in time, है ना? So at this point, you have to first of all describe the current structure And then you have to describe what is the proposed structure. Proposed structure में क्या होगा? You are moving to team based working. Staff is no longer confined to one machine, one role. So if it is a radical structural redesign, only then it qualifies as BPR. What are some of the current weaknesses in the system? Can you look at the data and tell me कि यार currently क्या problems हैं? So यहाँ पे if you see, machinists are available to sew buttons, but there was only one machinist available who had been trained to sew zips. So एक बटन लगाने के लिए you had enough people, but zip लगाने के लिए not enough people were there. So there is a possibility कि people who knew how to put the buttons, they were more in number, and there was only one person who could basically put the zip. तो अगर क्रॉस फंक्शनल नॉलेज होता कि इफ द people who are operating the machines, if they knew how to perform functions other than their main function, तो ये वाला जो डिले है वो डिले नहीं होता. So right now there is more of very very domain specific work that is happening here. जिनको इतना आता है उनको उतना ही आता है. They don't have multiple, मतलब they don't have multiple skills. They can only focus on one activity, and that becomes a bottleneck in production. That leads to failure in meeting delivery deadlines, right? Then there is greater level of customer dissatisfaction. What is the proposed BPR solution? Key first of all, upskill them, make them, upskill से ज्यादा make them multi skilled, मतलब they should know different aspects of production stage, तभी जाके it will be a complete overhaul, right? And they will also be able to cover for each other in case people are absent, so that will add more flexibility. ठीक है? इसमें you will definitely have to perform a cost benefit evaluation. Here you are training people. Say there are three processes A, B, C. Ishan is an expert in A, but now you have to train him for B and C. तो उसमें training cost involved होगा. There will be some reorganization. The team structures might undergo a change, right? Uh, and so वो तो cost बोलो या effort end पे वो होगा, but it will lead to more efficiency, more flexibility, better on-time delivery, and improved customer satisfaction. बीपीआर का फोकस क्या है? The focus of BPR is more on efficiency and achieving the outcomes, not on individual tasks. And this approach is actually helping you to achieve that. The focus is now increasing on quality. Uh, now so production teams are responsible for quality decisions, separate quality check. You could remove that, and you could make each process an independent activity in itself, where they are responsible for the quality of the output at their stage, है ना? So that could be another approach that you could think about. Then RFID tracking जो है उससे क्या हो रहा है? Earlier you had manual batch recording, spreadsheet data entry, and there was a separation between data collection, data processing. अब RFID tag की वजह से automated tracking becomes possible. Information is captured at source. There is no distinction between, so gathering and processing is all happening together. So ultimately it will lead to more efficiency. जो missing items वाला issue है, that issue will get resolved. Then it will reduce administrative burden, of constantly filling in sheets, right? Uh, and when it comes to organization cultural impact, see, kahin na kahin the structure is becoming flatter. You can see supervisory roles have been removed. Earlier, you had one supervisor and people below him. Now, supervisor is also going to become a machinist. The structure is becoming flatter, right? You have self-managed teams. You are changing from quantity-based measures to more quality-based approach. है ना? There might be some resistance to change because people might fear losing jobs, or they might think of this as a cost-cutting exercise. There could be resistance to retraining and all of that, but the benefits far outweigh the cost. आपको क्या पूछा था? आपको पूछा था कि advise whether BPR is going to help Cuthbert overcome the problems. And I think very clearly BPR is going to help them overcome the problems in production process. ठीक है? Are you with me, both of you?
Yes.
Now have a look. I mean, I have again put together all the pointers in one place. हाँ, आपको बस इसको full sentences में develop करना है. All necessary points have been put together. ठीक है? Please start reading.
Sir, can you please quote?
Sure. एक सेकंड ना जस्ट. आपको जस्टिफाई करना है ना कि बीपीआर ही करेक्ट क्यों है. सो यू विल हैव टू मेक अ स्ट्रॉन्ग केस फॉर बीपीआर हियर.
Sir, can you please
श्योर.
quote? Sir, can you please quote again?
ठीक है।
Sir, can you please hold?
Yes, Path, tell me.
सर ऐसा भी हो सकता है ना, दिस इज द एग्जॉस्टिव लिस्ट ना पूरी
Yeah,
आपने
yeah,
जो
yeah.
सारे पॉइंट
Everything
करे.
that is possible. I have put together everything. Okay. In the exam for how many marks? This is the structure of the answer. This is what you are expected to follow. Define BPR, why this proposal qualifies as BPR, analyze structural and operational impact, quality and customer, evaluate technology integration, discuss cultural and behavioral consequences, and conclude with cost benefit analysis. Exam में अब it's okay if it doesn't cover the same length that I have covered because I have taken everything from everywhere in this topic. Because, see, my point always is कि when you read 100 lines, you will remember 80 and you will be able to reproduce 60. तो अगर आप पढ़ेंगे ही कम तो एग्जाम में और कम याद आएगा ना। आप जितना ज्यादा यहाँ पे पढ़ेंगे उतना आपको एग्जाम में हेल्प होगा। ठीक है। ओके। नाउ रिवॉर्ड सिस्टम्स। Machinists are paid an hourly wage and bonus according to how many items they sew each week, which usually comprises 60% of their total weekly wages. Supervisors receive an hourly wage and a bonus according to how many items their teams use each week. The factory manager receives the same monthly salary regardless of production output. All employees are awarded a 5% annual bonus if Cuthbert achieves its budgeted net profit. You have been asked by the board to evaluate the effectiveness of current reward system at Cuthbert and recommend and justify how these systems would need to change if the BPR project goes ahead. ठीक है आपको they have told you the current reward system. First of all, Ishan, can you explain the current system to me?
The current system is that machinists are paid that whatever hourly wage is on, and they are getting a bonus on how much items they sew.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And now let's evaluate whether this specific approach to, rewarding or giving, some sort of an incentive, is it justified or not? Now, see, when you are evaluating the current reward system, आपको पूछा क्या है? Please try to understand and only then frame the answer. Evaluate the effectiveness of current reward systems. The word effectiveness means, are you able to achieve the target you set out for? So, evaluate the effectiveness of current reward systems means check karo whether current rewards, first of all, explain what is the current reward system, then verify whether this system is able to achieve the targets or the objective with which you had started, and recommend and justify how these systems would need to change if the BPR project goes ahead. So if you want to go ahead with the project, तो आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा? Is this system okay? Or under BPR the approach will have to be completely different? वो पूछा है आपको, ठीक है? So your answer again has to be aligned accordingly, ठीक है? तो आंसर को आपको तीन पार्ट्स में यहाँ पे डिवाइड करना पड़ेगा. Now, you tell me, what can you say in terms of the current process? Is it achieving the objective or you need to shift? Current system क्या है? Basic hourly wage rate है. For machinist. Let's talk about them. उनको एक hourly wage rate मिलता है plus they get additional payment on number of items sewn, which is a volume based incentive. जितना sew करेंगे उतना. The focus is on speed of production, but it is not on quality of output. आपको जो पैसा मिलेगा that will be on the basis of the production speed and the number of units, not on the quality of output. The risk with this system is that it focuses more on quantity, less on quality, and chances of defects will be there, which will ultimately lead to customer dissatisfaction. और ये this company is currently going through that issue only, है ना? Now, ideally, see, machinists are working on one machine type. When you do that, it will improve your speed. The negative impact is that, see, right now, it is not giving you that multi-skilling ability and there is reduced flexibility. If I were to talk about the production supervisor and the work that he has done, ठीक है, प्रोडक्शन सुपरवाइजर का भी इंसेंटिव इज मोर और लेस मेड इन अ सिमिलर वे, ठीक है. तो प्रोडक्शन सुपरवाइजर को कैसे मिलता है? ही गेट्स ऑन हिज एक उसको भी एक बेसिक सैलरी मिलता है एंड देन बोनस इज लिंक्ड टू नंबर ऑफ आइटम्स सीवन बाय मशीनिस्ट्स. सो अगेन द फोकस इज ऑन क्वांटिटी नॉट ऑन क्वालिटी, राइट? सुपरवाइजर्स, बिकॉज सी, सुपरवाइजर्स को क्या लगेगा कि जितना ज्यादा आउटपुट आएगा फ्रॉम द मशीनिस्ट उतना ज्यादा मेरा इंसेंटिव बनेगा. एंड इफ दे रिफ्यू और इफ दे do a checking or verification of output and they notice some quality issues, normally their job or their role demands कि यार reject that particular unit, send it back for rework. या scrap कर दो. But what will the supervisor think? The supervisor will think कि यार if I do this, what will happen? Output कम आएगा. If the output is less, my incentive gets impacted. So instead of finding out a quality issue and sending the units back, he would most probably allow the defective units also to get processed, right? So you are neglecting quality checks also. You are encouraging speed, but you are not encouraging quality. See, the machinists may view this bonus as unfair because they believe कि यार हमारा आउटपुट है बट द सुपरवाइजर इज गेटिंग एन एफर्ट, सॉरी गेटिंग एन इंसेंटिव. So they might not be entirely happy with the way this incentive is working, right? If you talk about the production manager, there is no bonus for production performance or any quality, right? So there is no direct incentive to improve efficiency, to improve the quality standards, है ना? Talking about profit based bonus, which is 5% of salary, it is linked to overall company profit, which is relatively small, है ना? And 5% of salary is not a big number to motivate anyone to get something done. So these may not be significant enough to motivate. So वो एक issue हो जाता है. Right now, the current reward system, it focuses on quantity. There is no emphasis on quality, teamwork, or innovation, right? It also encourages you to work individually and not together in teams. है ना? So when we are talking about a new reward system under the BPR wala scenario, first thing is you ideally now you are shifting to team based bonuses. So production teams are reorganized now. So all of them will have to work together in coordination with each other. So individual bonus को छोड़ के now the focus will be on, if you bring a team based performance bonus, then all the individual employees who are doing different aspects of the process, they will have to work together to achieve that outcome. So it will encourage cooperation. It will in a way help you to balance the workload also, because of the multi skilling that we already discussed. It will help to reduce the bottleneck as well. And so ultimately, you are trying to link that to BPR also, है ना? And how that can help in production cost control and teamwork and on-time delivery. And talking about the kind of new KPIs that you are trying to design, the focus will be on quality, on efficiency, less quantity पे तो रहेगा, but just quantity is not going to be enough. ठीक है? Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay. Now have a look.
Sir, can you please go?
सो आपको उसको हेड टू टो पूरा ब्रेक डाउन करना है।
Sir, can you please go?
ठीक है, देख लो एक बार, एंड देन आई हैव गिवन यू द आंसर स्ट्रक्चर ऑल्सो। हो गया?
Yes, sir.
And now this is the answer structure. Evaluate the weaknesses of the current system because that is explicitly asked. Discuss the consequences and then say why that conflicts with BPR and how can you redesign the entire framework. I think more than anything else, knowing the structure of how exactly the answer has to be presented is important. Because देखो, ऐसे का ऐसा क्वेश्चन तो पेपर में नहीं आएगा. What will be asked in the paper will be फैक्ट्स थोड़े ऊपर नीचे करके. क्वेश्चन अगर बीपीआर पे है या क्वेश्चन अगर रिवॉर्ड सिस्टम पे है तो सिमिलर पॉइंट्स शुड कम, राइट? एंड इफ यू रिमेंबर, बीपीआर, if you actually check in your exam kit, you will realize that BPR has been tested fairly frequently. Evaluation of reward systems has been tested fairly frequently in the paper. So make sure that you devote adequate time to it. एक अभी तक हमने रिपोर्ट वाला क्वेश्चन नहीं देखा है. सो दोज रिपोर्ट वाला क्वेश्चंस आल्सो विल बी अगेन tested quite frequently in the paper.